We've got some new technology on the horizon. The release of Drupal 9 is coming. What should people keep in mind as they work to get more distance out of their maybe older sites, their Drupal 7 or Drupal 8 sites? Yeah, versus making the decision when to migrate and how to make the most out of sites that are previously built.
I mean, most of the time when I'm talking to people at the moment about this, I'm saying it's important to have a plan. And if you don't have one, start coming up with one. That starting is the most important thing. What you don't want to be is, 2 weeks out of no security coverage from the security team and then starting to be thinking about it. But that doesn't mean that everything has to start being migrated today. In fact, it doesn't mean everything has to start being migrated as soon as Drupal 9 is released. We've still got a good year and a half, I guess, before we fully lose that security coverage. The important thing really, to my mind, is to have a plan. Step one is just take inventory of where you are and where you want to be. Yeah. Have a look at that completely in a sort of as dispassionate a way as possible. Leaving budgets, timelines, bosses' requirements, marketing managers' requirements, content team, put all of those things aside and just take stock of where you're at. So I think that's the most important thing, is that having a plan is definitely step one. In order to get that plan, you need a partner that you can trust, that can look at the stuff dispassionately. Not necessarily be trying to upsell, but really looking at what you've got and saying the next best thing for you in this, in the light of Drupal 9's release is A, B, and C. How about from like a more technical perspective, Aimee, or a design perspective, Tish, with a sort of new piece of software launching? Anything there that you would say is important to keep in mind?
I think from a design point of view, as long as it looks like nothing happened, so if it's transitioned, nothing looks like a new site. Obviously the brand is maintained throughout, but it only feels faster. It only feels more functional. It only feels, like the user experience is just a little bit better because the site is working better, but nothing else must change unless they ask for it. Yeah.
Right. On the technical side, in addition to what you were saying, if on Drupal 8, I would say keep up to date on Drupal 8, because the tools to transition to the Drupal 9, as Drupal 9 is released, still will be improving over time, because once Drupal 9 gets released, people are going to use it and find, hey, that migration is not needs a little bit of work, or we need to transition these modules. I think that in addition to knowing where you are, also knowing how much customization you've done on your site is a huge thing. Like, is there a module for that? And did you use it? Versus you write your own thing. And that's going to be a big impact of what you're doing. But stay up to date as much as you can, even on Drupal 7 and on Drupal 8, because any incremental changes, even toward the end of lives of these things, are all to support either really big security issues or support the migration pathways. So it's really stay up to date and take the time now to think about where you're going, because the amount of time to look at your site and say, hey, this is like, I have this much site. Is all this content relevant? Or, when we do migration and upgrade conversations, it's all about what really needs to come forward, or does it never change, right, Tish? It's like, if that is the best test, that is awesome, right? Bring it over. Nothing to see here, right? That's like, it's perfect. But if you're going to take that time to address like big changes, like, oh, is this the time that you have to do a refresh or a real redesign that comes into play?
As long as the brand is maintained throughout the website, and it's especially if there is a Drupal update and there's new functionality, just to make sure that functionality mimics the design, that it feels very cohesive. It doesn't feel like the separate element. As long as it looks really, really sort of part of the user journey and the a consistent experience, brand experience.
Sounds like you either have to have a plan or make a plan to make a plan. Nice.
I love it.
Well, it looks like we're wrapping up a little bit here. I'd love to ask you just one more question. If someone just got one thing out of this conversation, if they watched this and learned one thing, what would you be happy if they walked away knowing this one thing about maintenance?
I'll use my tagline. Maintenance is a mindset, not a milestone. I'm hoping that, by people listening to a conversation for plus minus, an hour, if they got all the way through this, that's wonderful, because it really is a mindset. There's a lot of rich stuff to talk about in the maintenance space, and it's not necessarily dreary, and it is the thing that allows you to move quickly. So if you've got that in place, it allows you to do the cool stuff in a way where you can have what Aimee called the yes mindset. I like that.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, mindset, maintenance is a team. It is actually a really open, transparent conversation, and it's a team, and it's in for the long haul. So treat it like a healthy relationship. That's the biggest takeaway, because if you have a good partner with you looking out for your business, and you look out for their business, it really works out well, because there's that trust and honesty and candor.
Nice.
Yeah, so mine would be that web maintenance and design definitely go hand in hand. I think that it's important to maintain a consistent look and feel throughout the website. And this is where design, it comes in, and it's so important to use a designer along with a development resource. And it helps to maintain your brand integrity, the consistency of your tone of voice, and just to make sure that everything looks the same as as it did before if you do a migration, but also that it feels like it's coming from the same universe. So yeah, that's what I would say.
What about you, Felix, as a last thing? See, as our host, what would you hope that somebody would take from this conversation?
I really like the idea of partnership. I was thinking about that a lot too. I was thinking about all the different analogies of like house and car, and I was thinking about like how valuable being good friends with my mechanic has been with an older car, and just like I take him tacos, like we babysit for each other, and like that has been like, I have a lot of wonderful relationships in my life, but that might be one of the most practical, wonderful things that I've invested in. And it seems like kind of a similar situation.
Oh, absolutely. Wow.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Aimee for joining us and for making some time for us. It's been really nice to chat to you, and
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
thanks as well to Tish and Felix here as well. Appreciate it.